everyone. I'm back for another reading lesson with you. And today we're going to talk about discovering the lessons in familiar stories. But before we jump into that, I have a quick question for you. Have you ever had a fortune cookie? Yeah, me too. Sometimes when you go to a Chinese food restaurant, they'll give you a little fortune cookie and you get to crack it open and then inside there's a little fortune, right? Well, sometimes, actually a lot of the times when you get those little fortune cookies, inside the fortune will tell you how to live a good life. It might say something like, make new friends, but keep the old, or don't give up, keep trying, you can do it, right? Those are some things that it might say inside your fortune. Well, it's very similar to our stories because today I want to teach you that stories are often like fortune cookies. When you open up a story, you'll find there's a little life lesson inside it. So readers, readers learn lessons. I have this little stack of books right here, and I was thinking I could show you some of the fortunes I pulled out of these stories here, like Frog and Friends. Frog and Friends. The fortune I have here says, friends are always there for each other. Is that a lesson we can get from this story? Yeah, absolutely. That's a great life lesson from that story. Or how about this one? Mr. Putter and Tabby drop the ball. Let's see what fortune we get from this one. Try new things. Anything is possible. Definitely a great life lesson we can learn from that story we know. And this last one here, the sloth who slowed down. Let's see what life lesson this one can teach us. Enjoy the little things. It's nice to slow down sometimes. I feel like this book is kind of where we all are right now with this new way that we're living. We're spending a lot of time at home and everything doesn't feel so rushed and go, go, go. We're slowing down a little bit. And sometimes that's nice, right? Sometimes it's nice to stop and smell those roses, much like in the story Jasper and Ollie when the sloth kept stopping on his way to get to the pool, right? He was enjoying all of the little things. So a lot of our stories, guys, have little fortunes inside of them. So that's what we're going to take a look at today. So first, let's go over how we can do this. So readers learn lessons, right? Well, one thing you can do, if you're not sure what the lesson was in the story, you can reread the ending and think to yourself, how did the trouble get fixed? So we know as writers and readers that in stories, there's a problem, right? And then there's some kind of solution it solves the problem. How did they solve the problem? What happened? Can you learn anything from that? Or you can also think to yourself, what did the character realize or learn? We have been studying so much about characters, right? And paying attention to what they do and what they say and how they feel. Well, if you pay attention to the characters, you can notice, what did they learn? Or did they realize something? And can we learn from them? Of course we can, right? Let's look at this story right here, Little Red Riding Hood. This is a story you've all known and have read many times, I'm sure. And I know that you guys can help me figure out the lesson in this story. What is this story about, Little Red Riding Hood? What happens? Remember? Yeah, well, Little Red Riding Hood is supposed to go straight to grandmother's house, right? Her mother tells her, don't stop and talk to strangers, go straight there. But does Little Red Riding Hood do that? No, she stops and she talks to the big bad wolf and she gets tricked, right? Yeah. What kind of lesson do you think she learns in this story? You think she learns not to talk to strangers? Yeah, I think she learned that lesson. I also think she may have learned to listen to her mom, right? That her mom has her best interests in her heart and she wants to make sure that she's okay. So to listen to mom is a really good lesson too. Those are the lessons that she learned. Do you think that you can learn that same lesson by reading the story? Yeah, absolutely. We can also learn as we read the story that we shouldn't talk to strangers and listen to mom because they want what's best for you, right? Yeah. All right. Well, what I was thinking we could do is actually, let's go back. We talked about how the readers learn lessons, right? And the first thing they can do is reread the ending and think about how did the trouble get fixed, right? So let's look at the end of a story and see if we can figure out what that lesson was for that story, okay? So I have not the exact last page, but reading the ending of the book of The Good Egg. And we've read this story before, right? But let's go ahead and reread the ending here and see if we can determine what kind of lesson we can learn from this story. So it says, sure, every once in a while, somebody's a little bit sad or a little bit bad, but it's not like before. Here's what I realized. The other eggs aren't perfect, and I don't have to be either. I'm okay with that. So what do you think the good egg here learned? Or what lesson can we learn from the good egg? Both. He even says one of those big words. Remember how I said in the last slides how a character might learn or realize something? Do you remember that? Yeah, well, on the second page here, it says, here's what I realized. So he learned the other eggs aren't perfect, and I don't have to be either. I'm okay with that. Remember before when he was feeling so much pressure to be perfect and he wasn't happy that other people weren't being perfect, he started to crack, and it wasn't good for him. He wasn't taking good care of himself, right? So he realized that it's okay that not everyone's perfect, and he doesn't have to be perfect either, right? Is that a lesson we can also learn from this story? Absolutely, right? So when you guys go off today, I want you to read your books. Go ahead and start by rereading the ending of a book that you know and love, okay? And ask yourself when you read the ending, how was the problem fixed? Or what was the solution to the problem? Or what did the character realize or learn? What did they realize or learn? What lesson can I learn from this story? Because remember, these stories are like fortune cookies. You guys get to get a lesson out of it, okay? All right, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.